Well, welcome to Mallorca and welcome back to the Best Centre. It's April the 29th and we've got a beautiful day today in the swimming pool behind me. Now we're going to do a news roundup and I'm joined by Pool Boys Steve Buckley. If you've not seen some of his blogs and reports, then go on to poolboy.co.uk. Steve is joining me in just a minute and we'll get a chance to do all the news roundup plus an in-depth look at the British selection to Kazan. We've got 30 swimmers going to the World Championships this year, so I'm going to get a chance to talk with Steve about his view on the selection, plus the other news events from the last week. And then later in the programme, we're joined by Slovakia's Richard Nagy, finalist in Berlin in the 800 and the 1500. He does monster sets, and we're going to get a chance to talk about what it's like to swim a set of 15800s or 5200s or whatever it is he does. So a great opportunity for an insight into the mind of a European distance swimmer. Stay tuned for that. But first, let's go to Steve and the news roundup. Well, we're delighted to have Steve Buckley with us, and many of you will have seen Steve reports on poolboy.co.uk. Some very interesting reading there, and Steve is with us now. Steve, we had the trials recently, but before we take a look at the 30 that are going to Kazan for Great Britain, there's more sad news in the swimming world with the loss of Randy Bennett, the Canadian coach.
Yeah, it's pretty sad news coming out of Canada. He'd been the head coach of Canada's international team for quite some time. He'd coached a number of Canada's top swimmers, most recently Ryan Cochrane. So that's a big loss for Canadian swimming, and of course thoughts go out to his family. And
after the loss of Camille Maffei, it's been a difficult year one way and another.
Yeah, not good. It's that's two in quick succession really. So never good to lose people in any of those sorts of circumstances, particularly the way that Camille was taken. But not been a good year for swimming on that front.
Well, our thoughts, like you say, with him and with his family and with those in Canada who are much closer to him. And our thoughts turn to the British team. So they're taking 30 as we suspected they would. And your analysis, in the end, how close were you?
Pretty close. I think I got there with about 27 of the 30. I think the swimmers sort of selected by right, either those who made the qualifying time or those who were within the sort of buffer zone that British swimming had set. Were pretty much as everyone expected. There were no real surprises there. There was a lot of discussion about the 5 extras that they picked, the 5 wild cards, if you like, that British swimming are taking to make up that 30. And I think there were some surprises amongst that group for a lot of people.
So Liam Tancock's one of them. And then we've got Adam Barrett. He's there. I mean, Thomas Laxton on the fly. So there's still some discussion about these relay teams. With Liam and Adam going there.
It is. I mean, I think the relays are the prime driver behind the 5 wild cards that have been picked. I mean, if you look at them, you've got Liam Tancock, as you say. You've got Adam Barrett, who is probably quite lucky to be making the trip. Let's be frank, he was third in the trials in the 100 fly, and he's still making the trip probably off the strength of his performances in the medley relay last year. And I'd imagine that the selectors are hoping he can get back to the sort of form he showed, particularly at the European Championships in Berlin last year. So those two, they're definitely going to provide backup to the relays. You can add in Jessica Thielmann, who was a surprise to some people, but I reckon she's going as a 5th person for the 4x200 relay on the ladies' side. Gemma Lowe, she's coming in again probably to beef up the women's medley relay. She was on the mixed team that won the gold medal in Berlin last year and set that world record. And then the last wildcard was Molly Renshaw. I guess she'll get a swim in the 200 metres breaststroke, but equally she could be used as a backup for the medley relay on that leg of that as well. So relay's clearly top of the priorities then for picking those people. But I think there was a lot of discussion online and a lot of people surprised at probably Adam particularly, and also Liam to some extent getting those nods. But no, they're going now, so they get the opportunity to prove themselves.
And Bill Furness has said that he does count in his mind key performances in a career of a swimmer rather than the performances on a given week or month at a trials. And he's stuck by that. And he's also clearly looking at the medley, at the relays, and wants to qualify as many teams as he can for Rio.
Well, that's right. I mean, 12 of the relay spots in Rio will be taken by teams swimming in Kazan this summer. So there's an obvious advantage to getting those qualified early. I think the selectors have been looking at it and thinking, well, how can we protect the swimmers that are going to be having heavy programs, those who are likely to be doing a lot of individual racing, the likes of Chris Walker-Hebburn, Jazz Carlin, Siobhan Marie O'Connor. They're all likely to have big programs across individual events and swimming relays as well. So protecting them to try and get the best results in their individuals whilst also getting the relays across the line has obviously been a key factor in who they've picked.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about the men's medley relay. They had so much success in Berlin last year, European champions. Commonwealth Games was a great event, as it always is. We saw a lot of jockeying position amongst the home nations. But there is this but. There's the one difference between it's amazing to be the best in Europe, but it's a big step up to then go from winning in Europe to winning at a world level, and even more difficult at the Olympic Games, especially when someone like Adam is not quite swimming the way he did this year. And our men's freestyle, as we all know, is a lot weaker than our rivals. So we're going to have a terrific front end. And then everyone's going to come chasing us, and quite often it favours the chasing pack in a relay race.
Well, that's true. I mean, certainly last year, the two wins that they had in Glasgow at the Commonwealth Games and in Berlin for the Europeans, they were the hare out front, if you like, and they were there to be chased down by the Australians in Glasgow and the French in Berlin. But they'd given Adam Brown and Ben Proud on those anchors enough of a buffer that they could do it. And the big part of that, to some extent in Glasgow, but to a large extent in Berlin, was the performance of Adam Barrett on the fly leg. I mean, he was substantially quicker in the relays in both events, in fairness, than he had been on his equivalent individuals. And I think if he can do that again, or indeed if Tom Laxton can come in and do a really good job as well, then they're always going to have a shout. But as you say, it's a different game at a World Championships to a Europeans. You've obviously got the Americans, you've got the Brazilians who can put together good quartets in that event. So there's going to be some very fast freestylers bearing down on Britain if they can give the anchor leg swimmer a lead, and it's whether they can get enough of a lead to make it stick.
And just talking of medley and PT, I mean, he was amazing in London last week, wasn't he?
Absolutely incredible. I mean, he went out so fast, and you worried. He knew he was fast. He set the world record in the 50 in the European Championships last year. We knew he had that speed, but when he went through 50 metres in 27.04, you were thinking, well, he can't possibly hold on to this for the wave back, and he's gonna fall off. He'll probably do a really quick time, but maybe not the world record. And he brought it home so strongly at the end. I mean, he was so efficient at the end. It looked. I mean, he said afterwards he was in a world of pain. But he really held on to his stroke in the last 15, 20 metres, and that was the difference, really. He was able to maintain his pace, maintain his turnover all the way to the end, and an absolutely incredible swim, 57.92, first man under 58 seconds, and absolutely amazing.
So now, of course, everyone's going to go ballistic about the fact that he's our next Olympic gold medalist. And really, these World Championships have been selected with a view to winning medals at that championships, and then again in Rio, which is where a lot of the British funding is going to be decided. So Bill knows that that medals are at a premium in Rio, and therefore medals are going to be important to win in Kazan. And those 8 that were selected by right, plus the relays, are really going to be where those medals are going to have to come from.
So we've already spoken about Adam Peaty. I mentioned Siobhan Marie O'Connor and Jazz Carlin and Chris Walker-Hebburn. We've got Hannah Miley, James Guy, Lizzie Simmons and Roberto Ferroni, the other ones who've made it through on that automatic selection. And you'd think that probably 4 or 5 of those have got really strong chances of coming home with a medal. The others certainly in with a shout, but perhaps a longer shot. And beyond those, I think we're into the outside chances, and someone who might suddenly have a breakthrough meet and take everyone by surprise and suddenly come home with a medal that we're perhaps not expecting. But so that core group is definitely the main chances, I think, going into the Worlds.
Now, you like your analysis. What does your analysis say about the number of medals we're going to win this summer?
It's difficult to say. I mean, obviously, the fly in the ointment for this year is that the US picked their team last year's trial. So a lot of the American swimmers won't be swimming at their peak. They've had no trials meet to peak for, and that obviously skews the world rankings to some extent. Looking at it, I think based on how previous worlds have gone, particularly in the pre-Olympic year, I think it'll be a fast meet. I think Britain's got a good chance of medals. I'd like to think we'll be somewhere 4 or 5, maybe 6. But where those come from, it will depend on who goes on which particular day, who steps up, who has a bad day, and all that kind of thing. So I'm not going to be too committal, but I think 4 or 5 is a good target.
Yeah, I think that's the spread for most people. 5 on a good day, 6 if we've got a very good following wind, and 4, I think anything less than that, and the team will come home feeling as though they're a little bit disappointed.
I think so, yes.
World Championship in Russia this summer, and well, the rule is you can never trust the Russians, and that's unfortunate. They've been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, and now we're going there. I mean, do you have a view on how honest the swimmers are in the world at the moment?
Well, I think Russia have obviously got a bad rap at the moment, and with good reason, really. I mean, they've had a lot of positive drugs tests over the last 18 months, 2 years. There was obviously that documentary that was aired in Germany that made a lot of allegations about state interference and organised programmes from governing bodies and things like that, which we don't want to see. I mean, we've been through periods in the sport like that in the 80s with obviously East Germany and things, and we don't want to be going back to a period like that. But to some extent, you have to hope that the sport is clean. I mean, otherwise you're suspecting anybody who does anything unusual. It is difficult to sit here and think, well, Russia is playing by the book. But we hope that the anti-doping agencies will do their job. I know that there will be an oversight from FINA's doping panel in Kazan to keep an eye on the local sort of anti-doping agency while they're doing their work at the World Championships. And so we have to hope that due diligence, if you like, does its job, and that we can have a clean Worlds without any controversy.
I also trust the coaches a lot. There's a lot of experience on the pool deck at the world level and European level, and generally the coaching community is fairly close and fairly small, and they do tend to start pointing fingers and asking questions, and a lot of noise gets made rather quickly if the coaches on the pool side, those with a lot of experience, tend to see something that doesn't quite fit, and that is a very positive sort of mindset for swimming, I think.
I think so. When we saw something of that ilk at the London Olympics with the women's 400 IM winner, Yi Shu Wen, and certainly that can lead to a lot of people questioning it. It ends up a lot of column inches. There's a lot of suspicion pointed that way. Obviously, China have had a similar doping history, although a bit longer ago. And I think you're right that when things just don't make sense, people pick up on it, and that's when the focus really zooms in on those people who've done unbelievable things, because they are unbelievable, and hopefully that sort of peer pressure can help drive it out of the sport.
Well, we'll see. Steve, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it, and we look forward to talking with you again. And we wish the British team the best of luck this summer.
Indeed. Hopefully they'll have a good meet.
Thanks very much. Well, welcome back to the pool deck. Now we have with us Richard Nagy from Slovakia. Those that have been following our tweets will know some of the sessions that Richard has been doing. My question to you, Richard, is what are you thinking when you're doing 100, 110, 120,000, 8/1500s, for example, holding 1640 or 1650? That's a long morning in the swimming pool. So how do you prepare for sets like this?
I don't really prepare. They just come and I just swim them, and mostly I'm just singing and trying to keep my pace and don't try to lose focus.
And are you singing in Slovakian or are you singing?
Everything I know, even in German. I know just 3 or 4 words, and I'm singing Rammstein.
So when you swim the set you did the other day, set of 200s, and you were swimming off. You were holding 2 minutes 2, 2 minutes 3, and swimming off, what was it?
240.
240.
40.
230. And how many did you do?
27, I guess.
Okay, so 27. Do you start exactly on 203, 202, or do you come down from 210, 28, 25, 22?
Usually the first ones are the hardest because your muscles are cold and so the first ones were like 205 and then I kept 202, 203.
And then yesterday it was the medley day, and this was the 400 medleys. Well, how many did you do? 18 400 medleys holding 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was fairly easy.
Yeah, not that much. The pace wasn't that hard, but the rest was going down to like 20 seconds in the end.
When you were younger, when you were 12, 13, 14 years of age, what kind of distances were you swimming in your training sessions when you were younger?
I wasn't with my current coach, Gabo, and I didn't actually swim that much. It was like 40 or 50 kilometers per month. So I was a bit behind everybody else in that age. Then I came to him, and he just told me if I want to swim the 1500, and that's the only thing I really can do, the long distance, because I'm not even remotely a sprinter. So I have to swim more, and he asked me if I wanted to. I said yes, so here we are, doing his set.
Now you've been here a number of times. Talk to us about why you like it in the Best Centre and Colonia San Jordi.
I don't know why I like it. It's like one of the best pools I've ever visited. It's pretty close, from like 2 or 3 hour flight from basically home. And I get tanned every time I'm here, and you guys are great. You always are nice to us. Even when I do the 1500, everybody is cheering.
So what the preparation now is for Kazan. So we're now in the end of April, beginning of May. What do you do between now and the World Championships? In 2 months I'll come back here just to do my final preparation or final camp before Kazan in here, and before that I have some races back home. I have to do some more miles in the pool, and just as always, as every year. And what do you think will the time in the 800 or the 1500 to make the final in the World Championships this year? What do you expect the time to be?
I have no idea. There are plenty of guys that are way faster than they were in Barcelona or the London before. So I guess 14:55 would be last qualified. And I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. And last year in Berlin, that was the fastest final I remember, and I haven't seen it because I was swimming it. So I'm really looking forward to see all those guys compete.
So good luck in Kazan, and good luck with the amount of swimming that you will do between now and Russia, and then in Rio.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Well, our thanks to Steve and to Richard. Thank you for your company, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.